Excuse me. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to My Sixth Sense. I keep feeling like I'm on a hiatus, but I'm doing my very best. And since I'm doing my very best, we have the very best with us today. Super happy to have Ethan back with us. It's been a long time, dude. How are you?
I'm well, sir. I'm on vacation until Saturday. My birthday is Saturday, so
Ooh, how old you turn?
42.
Dang, yeah, I'm just turned 40.
Yeah, 41 felt like 40. 40 felt like 39. Like,
It doesn't it it become honestly, dude. This is gonna sound so cliche, but it becomes like kind of like a number because at some point I just don't feel like I'm 40. Right? There's some
yeah,
things that I do where it's like this isn't something a 40-year-old would do, but at the same time, like for us, I watch sports and it's like that dude's 19.
right, right. Yeah, you're like you hit the genetic lottery, you lucky motherfucker.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. It's like I'm like, dude, I could do that. It's like you can't do that. That dude's 20.
nope.
Nope. So we, I was kind of going over last night, like what we, just a few things that I want to talk about. And I think what we should start with is, Cash Patel and Dan Bongino were interviewed on Fox News, about a bunch of stuff. It was a great watch. If you want to, obviously, you know how to find it. Super easy to find it.
Yeah,
I guess I can link it. I can link it in the show notes if you want me to.
cool.
But one small thing that I do want to mention is in Cash Patel's book, his idea for reforming the FBI is to move them out of the Hoover building, which he says is in process right now. Dan Bongino says they're in the process of moving the FBI out of the Hoover building. I don't know really where they're going to go. I think that's a great idea. They don't need to be in DC. They need to be out doing police work. And it's just like, just like Cash Patel said, these people are just going for the next promotion, whether that's entrapping people or doing the wrong thing. They're there for a metric now. And Cash Patel's idea is they need to get back out there and do the right thing, which we've seen in the weaponization. And not we're not just talking about the last administration. It's been a long time since the
Hmm.
FBI has, in my opinion, kind of been held accountable. I will say that I am a little nervous. I did do an episode on the 100 Days of Nay. That's what I titled it for Trump. A lot of things I didn't like. Um, you have a lot of these people like Cash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK that are coming in that are these champions of things that I really appreciate, and then just kind of falling flat sometimes. Like,
Yeah,
with the what's that signal chat, the signal gate, where it's like they were supposed to be the anti-war non-interventionalists and they're like cheering on bombing an apartment complex.
hmm,
So I didn't know that this was happening. They were moving the FBI out. I thought that was a great idea. One of the
yeah,
main things that caught my attention was the Jeffrey Epstein questions, and
yeah.
the big one. I'll play this for you real quick, and then we can talk about it. Okay, here we go. Just a quick short.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide.
So that's that. Said so eloquently and shuts down any other. What is your thought? What's your thoughts?
All right, so you mean to tell me the elected mouthpiece of an administration went on Fox News and told the truth?
Well, the appointed, yes, and that I'm not sure. The way you say that, yes, so perfectly put.
All right,
Like, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
so
Go
here's the
ahead. Go
thing.
ahead. Yeah, yeah.
Play the video back again,
Okay.
but turn the audio off. And I can tell you when Cash Patel starts lying.
Oh yeah, they did this too. Yeah, they did this too. I don't know if I can. Oh, yep, we can. It's his mouth goes up.
Watch his eyes go to the corner.
Yeah,
Right there.
like the
Right there.
left.
Right there.
Yeah.
Right there. He's lying. That is a telltale sign of somebody lying.
Okay.
I already knew he was lying before you played it, but like he didn't even play it off good.
Yeah, and I have a bunch of thoughts on this. I've always been kind of a funny person on Facebook where I'm just like, "Happy Tuesday, Epstein didn't kill himself."
Yeah.
I've always kind of believed that because of the tenacity in which the government covers things up, and especially this. And now we've got Pam Bondi, who I don't believe she has anything. I think she's bluffing, and I think she's like way in over her head because they use these words that like national security. There is no reason to use that word and Epstein and national security in the same sentence if you don't want conspiracies to start forming and people to start getting angry because we pay your salary. We need to know if there is a child sex ring that is happening all over this country and in the world, everyone needs to know. It's not yours to disseminate with. And if it brings up problems, that's between them.
Yeah.
That's between all these people that decided to do this. And my second thought is, do you think that there is something that could be said about the Epstein thing that would suffice people's conspiracies? Do you know what I'm saying? Where it's like,
I don't think that the average human walking around with any kind of interest in this case, I don't think they want to know how deep the rabbit hole goes. Because there's
right.
two schools of thought for me. Number one, do I think that he was on some? Yeah, I do. I don't know if people are ready for the fallout of their realization and the tangible proof of who actually was involved in doing it. Because
You think
for
he was an
one reason,
asset, is what you're saying?
I'm not saying that's. We can go into that a different day. I'm just gonna look at this for the meat and potatoes part of what it is. Was
Okay.
Epstein an asset of somebody somewhere? Probably. Was Epstein doing unscrupulous things with children? Yeah. And there's been a lot of people like, do you know who Michael Franzese is?
I have heard of him.
So he's the mob guy that got out of the mob.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So he said, I was in MDC. You can't kill yourself there. There's no way.
Especially
And
on
he
like Suicide Watch and
he was in the same MDC that Epstein was in. Anyway, but like, yes, there's not a natural national security implication, but what if a bunch of people in these high up places are found out to be what we allege them to be?
right.
And then a bunch of dominoes start to fall, and you see what I'm getting at, right? I
Well,
don't know
sure.
if there's, without us 100% knowing, it's not
Yes.
going to appease anyone's conspiracy theories.
Well, I
but
don't
them
think
just
I don't
going,
think if they came out and they said something that was like, I don't think him not killing himself obviously doesn't qualm anybody because there's just God, my nose itches. There's just too much stuff. There's just too much like weird stuff that would all have to be coincidences for this to happen. You know what I'm saying? It's like just a 1 in a billion. This is just my opinion again,
sure,
but it's like everything you said, right? About Frenzy. What is his name?
Michael Franzese.
Yeah, Frenzies. It's like, yeah, all of this stuff. He's on Suicide Watch. The cameras just got, for whatever reason, they just went down at that exact time. They don't have that, and it's like they catch him on a charge that really doesn't have anything to do. That's how they jailed him the first time. That really doesn't have much to do with like what he was doing to begin with, because they just had whoever was in charge. I'm going to use the word deep state because that's just what I believe. But whoever was in charge was like, okay, he has to look like we're doing something because the people now know there is something larger. So they arrested him on some weird charge and put him in jail. But then when people found out more, people were outraged, and it's like, we got to do something here. And they're like, okay, oh no, either that's, again, my opinion. Oh no, we have to do something now. They're going to want blood. The blood's in the water. The sharks are circling. He's got to go. Because if he testifies, it's all over for us.
Mhm.
And
old girl, they put her somewhere, and we ain't heard a lick from
nothing.
her.
Nothing. It's like,
So where's she at?
and Pam Bondi says that she is going through all like hundreds of thousands of documents, taking the names of the children, which, okay, definitely, dude, you got to hide their identities. But she says there's videos of all of this stuff. And it's like, okay, if there's videos and there are people in those videos, and if some of the flight manifests are what occurs in those videos, these people immediately need to be held accountable. And that's the only thing that is going to suffice anybody's or qualm anybody's conspiracies.
Yeah,
You
they'll
know, it's
never
like,
get it.
right. That's
It'll
what I'm
never
saying,
happen.
because they're just too, everyone knows they're just too powerful. And that's the worst part of this whole thing is
Mm-hmm.
they're untouchable. And that's what the common man and woman are feeling like, hey, listen, there shouldn't be anyone under this law that is not held accountable for these awful things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like when we always talk about the disparity in like income and stuff like that, or bad business practices. Everyone should be held to the same account. And just because you have, like, that's just how I feel when it comes to the law. Like, there shouldn't be Democratic and Republican judges at all. They should just be there to, this is the law. This person committed this crime. Is it a first time? It should just be like first time offender with no prior record. Okay, you get probation or whatever it is. It shouldn't be like there's kickbacks for doing this, or, like that. Anyway, we're going to go on a tangent with that, but I'm just saying, like, I don't believe there's going to be any reckoning, just like you said.
No.
And I think that there's the people are just too powerful to be taken down.
I agree. 100%.
I don't know, it's unfortunate again that Dan Bongino and Cash Patel are both now. It's something about that area. That's my theory. It's something about DC that turns you into a war hawk, and you're almost, it's like you're almost instantly captured because you have to be in the cool kids club. Now, if they're captured or not, it's just weird, because you look back at Dan Bongino's podcast, it's like this guy just was like, there's no way. Like, he didn't kill himself, and now he gets there. He's like, oh yeah, he did. Come on, then release what you have. He's gone. He's dead. Release it. We should not. We should know what happened to RFK Sr. We should know what happened to MLK, and we should know what happened to J. Like, every bit of that information should be released. Not like we're going to dump here. We're going to dump. There is nothing. And then the people who hid it from the public because of national security concerns should be put in front of a panel to discuss why they thought that was. Why was the JFK assassination a security concern in 2015? None of this stuff's going to happen, and it's very frustrating. And it's very frustrating to see somebody like Cash Patel, who I look up to, after reading his book.
Yeah.
Dan Bongino I didn't really listen to be completely honest, but and you're absolutely right. He does look like he's lying. I didn't really notice that. Next, switching topics here. We've got a CNN article entitled "Biden Diagnosed with Aggressive Form of Prostate Cancer." It's not funny. I do. He's a person. He's a grandfather.
I'm not laughing. Nah.
No, I mean, I chuckled. I shouldn't have. I'm chuckling because this is something we said for a long time. Like, after we saw that first debate, was like, is there something wrong? Like, there's no way this guy, they thought they should have been able to know that this guy couldn't make a second run at the White House. And they were going to run him anyway, dude.
I just thought of something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think the intention was to ever run him.
Well,
I
sure.
think they used that as leverage to make him fuck off.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously they didn't give him that's what we were thinking. Remember? I mean, me, you, and Scott were all like, dude, there's no way, because why would they put him out there to make a fool of himself?
Yeah, I think that he didn't want to play the game because he didn't have to, and then they're gonna like, oh well, we're gonna tell everybody you got cancer, buddy. Oh, and you don't know what planet you're on.
Right. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Like, I just thought about that. Like, I also saw a tweet that I hope isn't real because it makes the president look like an absolute moron. To where he said the thing about how was Joe Biden a doctor and couldn't tell he had fucking cancer?
She's not.
And it's like
She's not that type of doctor,
she's
dude.
not a medical doctor, homie. I hope now you have to consider the source too. Everyone's favorite self-hating Jew posted that.
Did he really?
Uh huh.
Let me see. This Republicans. I'm looking it up. I'm looking at his tweets right now. Drug prices, defense. Oh, I guess he's posting on. Desmond Crockett. I guess he doesn't have. Out of control. Rebuild open Alcatraz. Fight. Blah 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 blah. I guess he's posting a lot. April 18th, worst president in history. Yeah, I don't. That's probably on Truth Social, but I don't have the Truth Social, and I don't. To be completely honest, I do not plan on joining.
I don't think Trump's that dumb.
No, and I also don't think he's like that much. I think he talks. Listen, dude, he talks like a doofus. We just all know that he just talks like a. But do I think that the guy's racist? Like, no, and I don't think. I think genuinely, I think because the reason I think this way is because the last time he was in, everyone was like, lock her up, right, about Hillary, and he was like, no, it's not the right thing to do. And however you look at that, however you view that, it's like, okay, well, Trump still, it's like. This is how politics works sometimes. It's like they're cutthroat. And then, I mean, you and me talked about this. Jimmy Carter's funeral and how Trump and Obama were just like cutting it up. But like a week before, they're like, he literally called him a Nazi or Hitler. I can't remember what it was. It's like,
I guess my thing is like, I watched this thing about they're ranking like cults or some shit.
Mm.
And they called Skull and Bones a cult, which I don't think it's a cult. It's just a very, very select elite group of people, right?
Sure.
Do you know the admission? Do you know the admission process to get into Skull and Bones?
No, no idea.
Other than going to Yale,
right? No, I don't.
Only 15 people get in a year.
Okay.
How many living presidents are there right now?
Right.
So if you want to talk about the elite of good old boys clubs, I hate to use that term, but I'm using it loosely for context, right? Like,
sure.
How small of a sample size is that? Especially since shit, 2 of them that are alive are 2-term presidents. 3 of them, 4 of them.
So that's how many people are in them, or 15, or how many are selected every year?
Every year, 15 are selected.
And does that add to the 15 from last year, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but if you have now, and you have like fraternities and shit, they add as many people as they deem fit, right?
Right.
But you have this secret society, this club that 15 people a year can get in. So how elite is that? Then you quantify that with, look at the presidents. How many people can say, I was the president of the United States of America? Right?
Yes.
So you don't think there's some level of camaraderie just in shared experience there? You're crazy.
Yeah. Last year, like I'm saying, here we go. Yale, 4,396 people graduated. And 15 and 15
and no women can get in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it does worry me because people are starting to come out and talk about Biden's decline, and people who were wrong about it are actually being like, I should have. I think they're lying. I think there's a huge difference between getting it wrong and lying.
Yeah.
And they weren't getting it wrong. They were lying to you. But now what they're saying, they're apologizing because they got it wrong. Please do not let them fool you. Jake Tapper knew all along that Biden was in a pretty hefty decline. There was
anyone with eyes knew that,
and that's what you're hearing, right? And it's like, and then they come on TV. Oh, we got it wrong. And this was kind of like my last episode about the expert class. Is like, you can't trust these people anymore. You have to do your own. I guess you'd even call it research, because it's like they're not getting it wrong. They're lying to you. And it's
It's
like,
not.
okay, well, yeah, right.
It's not misinformation. It's disinformation.
That's exactly right. And they try to, that's how they try to keep that expert class alive. Cause they're like, oh, we just kind of got it wrong. It's like, no, you didn't. Like you
Mhm.
knew that this was all going on. You knew that this was happening. You saw the decline, and now you can't even say you got it wrong when you write a book about it. Like Jake Tapper wrote a whole ass book about this and released it and made money off of it. So,
There's a podcast that I started watching recently. It's
mhm.
Julian something or another.
Okay.
Not Assange. It's Julian. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
And he had a dude that was talking about the CIA and how it pertains to how they cascade information to us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I already knew this, but I didn't think about it. Is like there's misinformation and disinformation.
Mm.
Misinformation isn't always on purpose, right? You could just
Sure.
not know the answer to
You
something
could
and
be
try to sell
ignorant
it as
and it's
fact, right?
okay. Yeah.
But the scary thing about disinformation is 90% of the body of a thing could be correct and the one piece of something in there is wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the one that dictates the outcome or the thought process behind whatever.
Right.
Clever misdirection. I know you've heard me say that
Yes,
before.
absolutely.
Clever misdirection. And
And it's hard to sort through,
it's
you
A, it's
know?
hard. B, you don't even know where to fucking look half the time.
I know.
Forget getting, say you get the information. Where do you actually get it from? You got to start there.
Yeah. And I don't know, dude. The truth would be kind of the first place to start, I feel like. Like, I don't know, if people just inherently started from the truth,
Yeah.
then that would solve 98% of this problem here is you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the truth behind, like, I'll just say the two that come to mind is Epstein and 9/11, right? Like, I listened to that Tucker episode, which again, I always have to say this. Tucker pisses me off sometimes. He's a boarding school guy who just seems like a know-it-all, but the people he has on are sometimes great.
Mm-hmm.
And he did have a congressman who was kind of pushed out of the Congress. He was very well known. And he spoke about 9/11 and how he's like, I have all this evidence that when I was there, he was the head of the Intel committee. And he's like, this could have been prevented. And why aren't we talking about this? Why aren't these things being talked about? He's got audio of the fire. We're going on a little tangent. We'll be right back. Firefighters on the radio being like, hey, we're at the scene of the fire. We can control this. And then 10 minutes later, they're falling, 200 floors to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's the truth. And so with these things, when you're, like you said, like, where did you get that information? It's like, it's hard to trust anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And when, people are starting to see through the facade of like, oh, well, I think I got this wrong. It's like, well, who gave you that information? Was it the CIA or the FBI who are inherently lying to you? And like,
they inherently hate each other too.
yes,
They lie to each other too.
that's right. And like, you're supposed to be a journalist and you didn't check. You just took the information in your mouth and then, comes out the other side as quick as it went in without doing any checks, like this COVID vaccine, which, or just whatever has happened in the last like 10 years, like on a crazy basis. It's like, you're starting to see these giant holes in all of this. And back to this Epstein thing is no one's really going to get held accountable for any of this. Are giving out blanket pardons for things that happened 10 years ago that may or may not have happened.
Yeah.
How do you trust people like that?
There's like the thing that I just kind of, I don't know, I've known this, but like there's so many hands in the cookie jar for vastly different reasons. And none of the reasons are good. So like you dilute that. You talk about where you find the truth. Well, you dilute it, number one. And then you're going to get 3 different versions of the same story and then not be able to find the information to corroborate or disprove the other 2.
I wonder if I can find this video of Dave Smith talking about how he knew everything was going to be fine with him and Rogan, because he's like, it's just like COVID. These people pick one thing, one thing to talk about, even though the rest of it is fine. They let me see if I can find them real quick. I can edit this episode anyway. Let's see. Dave Smith, how are you? Dave Smith, how are you? COVID. Yeah, he's talking about how he knew. Anyway, I'll find it. How he just says something like when they're talking about like Israel Palestine, it's like everyone's trying to talk about the morality, but what they want to do is talk about this one thing, this one particular thing that makes you look bad, instead of the 90 other things that are like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't good. Like, Dave Smith argues that, which I agree with on this plane here, is that morality is not, law is not always morality, does not equivalent to morality. He argues with like lawyers who are like, it's just a fact of war, it's following the law. And he's like, okay, all right. So murdering innocent women and children, he's like, again, that's international law. He's like, do you believe on a level of morality that is the right thing to do? Someone has to, anyway. So, back to that, the whole thing is, they just focus.
He and I are very similar in that, like, I genuinely are like, well, it's not morally okay, but it's like, I always use Trayvon Martin as the antithesis of that argument. Did George Zimmerman morally go run a kid down and kill him? Yes, he did. He murdered the guy. Did he break the law? Nope.
Yep. Or you can always go back to the old faithful. Slavery was legal. It's wrong. And it's like mandatory minimums that destroyed the black nuclear family. Like, it was law and it was wrong to put mandatory minimums on crack cocaine, then distribute crack cocaine into predominantly black neighborhoods. I just don't know how else to. You're absolutely right, dude. Was it legal what he did? Like, yes. It's like, that's crazy. Where am I? Charlie Kirk.
Well, that's the argument I use against people, the right that thinks that Jesus should dictate, civic outcomes and things like that.
Right. Yeah.
Like, nope, we're not doing that today. We're not doing that.
Skip. Let me see. Appearance on. Oh, okay. Let's see.
I agree with some of the things that Charlie Kirk says.
Interesting. Okay.
I firmly believe college is a fucking scam. And he and I have the same exact mindset of the alphabet people.
And what is that?
That you can call yourself whatever you want. I don't have to believe you because you're not that thing. You can tell me you are, but you're scientifically not. And y'all are making up new pronouns and like genders and shit. And
well, dude, listen, I got into this argument right on this line where it was like, a post was like, PBS didn't become woke, you just became a bad person. And I'm like, well, hold on. I think being inclusive is okay. It's when it gets crazy. It's too much. So it's like, if you're an adult and you want to be, your name's, if you're Darren and you want to be Darina, fine. That's you, man, or lady, whatever. You're an adult. Make that decision. But like the kids, and then men and women's sports, like, you saw that swimmer. Hey, dude, he was like 6'5". His wingspan was like 7 feet. And how can he?
That's a dude.
Sports, it's 100% competitive. I mean, obviously there's a little more to the side, but the main point of sports is to be competitive. And if you're not going to be competitive, then you shouldn't be playing sports. And I'm not saying that women aren't athletic. It's just
they're not biologically they're not as athletic as men. Like, have you seen the thing floated around where someone's like, Caitlin Clark would beat Bronny James in one-on-one. No, the fuck she would
No,
not.
at all, ever.
She
Not for any
she would.
reason.
The only way she scores is if she gets the ball first and hits a jump shot that
Yes.
Bronny chooses not to guard.
Dude, I totally agree. And my response back to that was like, I was like, just because I say these things doesn't make me bigoted or racist. Of course, it was a friend of mine who's African American. And then someone jumped in and was like, well, it kind of seems coded, like it's coded bigotry. And I'm like, see, that's what I'm saying is when you guys say that, it shuts down any type of argument. And just because you think that way doesn't mean you're inherently correct about everything. That's the problem is we need to have debate. We need to talk about talk about this so you can understand other people's opinion. You can't just be like, well, you're a racist, so that's the end of the conversation. It's like, why do you think that you're inherently right about these things?
Yeah,
And
the interesting thing I find about those people, and it's not just like the race aspect of it, but anyone that has that line of thinking is like, I get asked a lot by people why I still have certain people on social media. And my answer is always, I'm not going to limit thoughts, ideas, and conversations to people that only think like me. I'm not going to ever put myself in an echo chamber. That's why I don't block or like blah, 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 or whatever, right? I've had people go, that Scott guy's fucking crazy. I'm like, you don't know him. You've never had a conversation with him.
Right.
And there is tangible evidence if anyone wants to go watch the My Sixth Sense podcast anytime I've been on here, that me and Scott haven't agreed on a lot of shit.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But
yes.
But does that make Scott the outward appearance that people assume that he is? Absolutely not. And I can tell you that he's not any of those things you think he is.
Right.
But I was willing to go find out.
Yeah, right. And I think that's something that you need to do. And you shouldn't be, you shouldn't be scared. And the best thing you can do too is like, dude, I do this where I'm just like, dude, I don't know. Like
it's okay to not know something and go look it up.
Yeah. And yeah, right. And then it's also okay to like, listen, the guy again, I like the tangents. I haven't talked to you in forever. I had a guy that talked about outrage politics, which was awesome. It's a really good episode. Yeah. And he said, if you're doom scrolling, and if you spend a lot of time doom scrolling, he's like, here's what you need to do. He's like, try steel manning, like find something that bugs you. He's like, for example, his example was, not what was it? Drag story time, where they had the men in drag reading to kids in school. Yeah. He's like, spend some time trying to steel man that right. If you like, don't agree with it. He's like, that just goes with anything. Cause maybe you find out that it's really not that big of a deal. He's like, I'm not saying just this, but just anything that, excuse me, bugs you, spend a little time like trying to steel man the other side. And you might find that it's not as significant as you think it is.
Right. And I think along that line, what you just said is like, if there's a notion that I want to kill, what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to find out everything I need to know about it so I know how to kill it.
Yes. Or if you like, this bugs me, you go and find out, oh, that's true. Now I got to figure out something else. Cause like, maybe you're right. And that's another question why I don't understand why we can't talk about how we got, like, that's something you really got to get on to Dave Smith. That's something Dave Smith does all the time, where he's like, this is the history of it. This is how we got here. And all anybody wants to talk about is like, okay, we're here though. How do we fix it? It's like, we need to learn what happened to get here so we don't do this again.
Exactly.
It's like, I don't,
you can't change it. You can't look at an outcome, not like it, want to change it, and then refuse to accept any outliers or scenarios or circumstances that got us to the point.
Right. Yeah. And you can't argue these points as like they're inherently true. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be like, you can't start your argument with like, I'm right, and then work your way back, which that drives me nuts. Let me see if this is it right here.
1000%.
Oh my God. Now we're on a commercial about the popsicle.
But while you're finding that, the last thing I was going to say about Charlie Kirk and that argument is like,
Yeah, go ahead.
your delusion doesn't get to dictate my reality.
Yeah.
Nope.
And here's the thing is I'm not asking these questions because I want to understand what's happening and then be like, okay, this is delusional.
Hmm?
You know what I'm saying? I don't go into a conversation being like, I've been proved wrong too many times to make that mistake where I just go in and be like, this dude's a fool.
Yeah.
Like you have to prove, you prove to me that you're a fool. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm going to go into any debate, like just like that response I had to my buddy. I was like, listen, I'm all for being inclusive. But when you have these types of arguments where you call someone racist or bigot, because he's like, you just, you walked into that. Because I said, I get called racist and I'm bigoted when I have these conversations. He's like, well, you walked into that one. I said, I don't walk into any of them. It's the problem is when you try to have these conversations and the other side just for the last 8 years thought they've been true about everything.
Yeah.
You don't understand how to like argue your point.
They can't.
It's not,
That's why
it's right. It's not my job.
That's the default.
The onus is 100% on you to prove to me why I need to let men in women's sports.
The burden of proof is on the prosecution. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
There's a reason why it's, I don't know, shit. It's laid out that way. But like,
Yeah,
those people that's their go-to is like, you didn't walk into anything. You walked into a preconceived notion that can't be dispelled, no matter what you say or do or show.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why anymore, and I say this more so with black folks, I don't even entertain that shit with black people anymore.
Yeah.
Because, and I'll talk about this part of it when we talk about Caitlin Clark. Because someone said something wildly stupid to me on that app the other day.
Someone is what?
Somebody, so there's a guy, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes,
And
yes.
And there's a segment, there's a lot of black people that don't like it if black people root for Caitlin Clark.
Sure.
So like,
I don't understand it. Yeah.
But why? If she's good at basketball, why can't I think that she's good at basketball?
Right, because that's the other side of that argument is she's a basketball player. It's like
she's good at playing the let's not say she's better than someone else. We'll get to that in the next topic, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Objectively, is Caitlin Clark good at basketball? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Why can't I say that out loud?
Good question.
Well, I'll when we get to that part, I'll tell
you.
Because I'm going to cook on that one.
Let me see. Here, we're going to start right here. This is just a kind of a take that I kind of wanted to share with you. Hold on.
Not only were they going to take over
So he's
England,
setting up a war right now. He's setting up a scenario.
they were going to cross the Atlantic and come take over North America also. And the entire world would have fallen into Nazi totalitarianism had they won the war. And let's say in order to stop the Nazis, we had a way where we could do it, where no innocent civilians were killed except one. You know, we could literally we could take out the Nazis, save the entire world from totalitarianism. By the way, in this model, there's no Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin's a great guy, and the Soviets are a free country. There's no moral questions about who we're working with. Just all of that. All we had to do was we could take out the Nazis by dropping this one super bomb, but one 6-year-old girl would be killed. Okay? So I've made it the most clear-cut war in human history. In that scenario, I guess you'd go, look, we have to do this. We have no choice. The whole world will fall to totalitarianism, or the whole world can be saved, and one 6-year-old girl is going to get killed. Okay, I can understand being like, we're making an impossible decision. We have to do this. Every year on the anniversary of that war, we should all like weep to ourselves. We should all feel horrible that we had to do that. Because it's a 6-year-old girl got killed. Like, I have a 6-year-old girl. This is the most horrible thing in the world that you would ever, like, 6-year-old girl. I mean, my God, I would set the whole world on fire to stop someone from doing anything to my little girl. And like, so if that were in this very clear-cut scenario, not the complexity of real history, in this scenario that I'm laying out, we should still all be nothing but pity and sorrow that it ever came to that. And we should rack our brains every day thinking, was there any alternative to that? Was there any way that we could have done that without this little girl getting killed? And like, people could say that's kind of like pie in the sky or hippie-ish or whatever, but at the very least, dude, when you're talking about like inflicting this level of human suffering on people, like the onus is always on the people who are advocating for it to absolutely prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that there's no other option, that we've exhausted everything else we could do. It has to be this. And if you come to the conclusion it has to be this, you should still be really sad and somber about it. This spiking the football stuff, having a Bob Hope special after a war, the stuff that America got involved in after the Second World War, it became like kind of like this business of war, this we're spiking the.
Anyway. But he's absolutely correct, and that holds true with like everything, especially these wars. And what he's referring to really now is Israel, and them just kind of decimating Gaza, and how it's like they can't just be like, oh, this is like what we have to do. It's like then more. We need more than that.
Then they need to either put their chips in all on Israel, or don't give either one of them money, because we're giving them both money.
Right. And Haaretz and was it the Jerusalem Times, I think it's what it's called. Anyway, they came out with a bombshell report that the Likud party, which is, again, we're on a tangent, which is Bibi's party, is funding Hamas through Qatar. So they've been doing that for years.
My surprise face right here.
Yeah. And it's like he's quoted as saying we're the ones that keep the flame, the reason they do that, the reason they're doing that is so that there will never be a two-state solution, which I don't know what the answer is. I'm Darren. I don't know what the answer is. You got to stop killing kids. And then wondering why you're radicalizing people. Do I think Israel has a right to exist? I think the people have a right to exist just as much as I think the people of Gaza have the right to exist. Mm-hmm. Like, does Israel have the right to exist? Why are we talking about if it's Israel or not? You mean the people of Israel? Israel, anyway. But I just thought that was very interesting how he was like with that 6-year-old girl. He's like, the onus is on the people doing that instead of spiking the football and making it seem like, there was no other option. Like, was there no other option?
Yeah.
And that can hold true in all these other arguments too, with like, we're talking about the crazies on like the woke crazies, right? It's like, was the only option to transition your child, or like, did we want to investigate that further? That's just how I think about it. Anyway, let's move to the last topic. So this morning, we are, my daughter plays basketball. She plays a lot of basketball. Mm-hmm. And in the spring or the fall, she plays with all girls. It's an all girl league. And then in the summer, it's co-ed. It's co-ed rec ball. And she is not a bad basketball player by any means. They get blown out. She plays, 3 minutes a game. These boys are towering over her. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so when we're home, we watch a little basketball, right? And before she went to the WNBA, we started watching Caitlin Clark. I didn't know anything about the WNBA. I knew it existed, but you got this girl, Caitlin Clark, who's just lighting up threes, really bringing a lot of attention. So it was just very easy to focus on her. Mm-hmm. And then when she got to the league, for whatever reason, a lot of people did not like her. I think it was like a gatekeeping thing, which I can understand. It's tough. Mm-hmm. You can say you're not jealous at all, right? You can say that if you want. But in a situation like that, I kind of understand. These women worked very hard to get to where they were, and they were just getting no traction, gaining nothing. Yeah, go ahead.
Why? Okay, let's start with why.
Sure. Right? Sure, we can go with...
Okay. Let's take Caitlin Clark out of the equation, right?
Yeah.
What were them heifers doing to make you watch basketball?
Nothing.
Okay, go on. Continue.
Yeah, nothing. There was just no excitement. There was no good brand ideas. There was nothing. And that's just my opinion. I didn't really watch basketball. I watched the finals. Like I'll watch the
Yeah.
finals, and I watch March Madness. Football is like my sport, right? That I watch. And but here we are. It's like, oh, this Caitlin Clark, she's lighting the whole world up. It's like, oh my gosh, girls are starting to get involved. It was very nice to see. I have 2 girls, and it's like, it always worries me. Like I really want them to be in sports, and it's just like the same. I get the same feeling when I watch the U.S. women's national soccer team. It's like they are a bunch of studs, and it makes you proud to be an American. And my daughters get to watch that, and it makes me feel like, okay, there's a place. If they wanted to go, there's a place.
Right.
And with Caitlin Clark was that way for us. And then when she got into the league, we started, oh wow, there's all these dynamics and there's different people, but a lot of people didn't really like her at all. And there was this gatekeeping thing that I saw, and then without saying anything, this rivalry developed that I didn't really understand. I felt like it was like the wrong way. Like they haven't been in the league long enough to have that crazy rivalry. Like you've got Bird and Magic and Rodman, and you can. It's hard to compare them to these people, but hers was more like almost violent. It wasn't like when you watch them guard Bird and Magic go up against each other, it was like it's like a battle. Whereas with them, it's like they're 2 completely different types of players, and one is wildly humble, which I don't know how I wouldn't have been able to do it. Like never said a bad thing really about the other. And then another one's just basically like pushing her to the ground, laughing when she gets fouled, like all this very appropriate behavior. So that's the way I feel about it. It's like, and I do want to get your thoughts, but like this morning, the conversation, I shouldn't have, maybe I should, whatever. I should have rephrased it, but I don't think that anyone's bad at basketball who plays in the WNBA. I'm just saying, if your argument is they play 2 different positions and you can't compare the 2, it's like, well, then why are they creating this rivalry that doesn't really fit? Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're trying to create or sell tickets or create something, it's like, okay, one's really good at rebounding, and one's really good at scoring and assists.
Well,
and it's like,
okay, go on.
No, yeah, I just like, if her behavior doesn't change, and she is going to be the villain whether she wants to or not, and people are not going to like the villain.
No, well, a certain group of people are.
Yeah, a certain group, sure, but I'm just saying it's not the color of your skin.
Okay, we know that. So let's walk down a timeline. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark did not initially dislike each other, and their rivalry started in college because LSU beat Iowa in the title game in their junior season, or 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And then Caitlin Clark came back in the next tournament and beat and knocked Angel Reese out of the tournament, right? And the media, God, I'm about to cook. So the media recognizes this, right? And it brings attention, right? And the attention started before they got there. And even though it shouldn't be, but it's intrinsically gonna have the race part of it just inside of it, right?
Well, I think didn't start too because she did that like John Cena and then pointed at her ring finger.
Caitlin Clark did this shit, and then Angel Reese did this shit, right? Cool, right? Gamesmanship. I'm okay with it. I like it, right? So,
yeah.
Black people are gonna be mad at me for this. So, there is a very fine line between having an opinion and being a loud, angry black woman.
I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. Keep going.
Angel Reese can have an opinion. Angel Reese needs to understand the consequences optically of the way she says and presents things. That's why people don't like her. That's number 1.
Sure.
Okay? Number 2, there are a few select faces of the WNBA, right? Everyone likes to have who's the face of the NBA right now, and
Sure.
they want to argue a bunch of people.
Sure.
The face of the NBA is LeBron James until he retires, right? But there are other people that you can put in that discussion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Angel Reese is on record saying there's attention that's brought to basketball, and it's not just because of one player. I'm sorry, honey, to burst your bubble there. All these people watching the WNBA ain't 10% of them are watching it because of yo ass. Because that lily white, marketable, not loud girl that does everything but rebound a basketball better than you is way more marketable and palatable to people that we want to we want to get to spend money. You
Yeah.
ain't gotta like it, but you're a fool or you don't live in the same reality we do if you can't objectively see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, they play two different positions.
Yes.
Measurably on a basketball court, what does Angel Reese do better than Caitlin Clark?
Rebound.
She rebounds, right? Sports are determined by a winner and a loser, and they keep stats. Stats are data that proves a point one way or the other. Out of the 5 statistical major categories, Caitlin Clark is miles better than Angel Reese in 4 of them.
Right.
That's not an opinion. That's a fucking fact that you can verify.
Right. Yes.
So
yeah.
So there's a group I'm in, and this guy's like, Caitlin Clark doesn't need your support. What? I'm not supporting
What
her.
does that mean?
So we dig a little deeper, and the crux is, if you have brown skin, you can't root for Caitlin Clark. I'm not rooting for the bitch. I am literally objectively looking at someone who does a thing better than another person. Angel Reese is a good basketball player. She's just not better than Caitlin Clark, and that's okay.
And in my opinion, if you want to create a rivalry, you have to be somewhere near that. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure, you're not kind of the same player, but at the same time, like, what are you rivaling? What's the competition between the, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand. Like it was very obvious the competition between Bird and Magic. They were absolutely phenomenal basketball players, and they battled and talked a whole bunch of crap, and at the end of the day were friends. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah,
it just seems like if you're going to create a rivalry and one person's going to be the bad person, the villain, and one person's going to be the good person, and whatever you're trying to market there, it's like they should still be kind of close to the same skill level. I'm not saying that Angel Reese is bad. I should have made sure I said that in my post. I'm just saying she's not better than Caitlin Clark in outside of like rebounding. And like, not to be a jerk, but the other night when they played, the Fever played this guy, 3 of her 17 rebounds were off one of her shots that she just couldn't make.
Yeah.
3 in a row. Again, not saying she's bad. I'm just saying if you want to create a marketable rivalry, they have to rival each other, not just foul each other and scream at each other.
Yeah. And like, so Angel Reese to me is guilty of 2 things. Number 1, she's guilty of making something that's just not in her control personal. She wants to be looked at in the echelon of all things considered of as what Caitlin Clark is, right? And she's entitled to say that, to feel that way. Don't say it out loud. Number 2, she's kind of the spearhead, and this kind of, in a way, I don't know if you saw the Facebook post I had earlier about women's sports and money, is she's spearheading a lot of the, we should get paid as much as the NBA. No, you fucking shouldn't. Like, and I'm gonna put this out there, and I'll save you some clicks.
Yeah.
How much money do you think the WNBA made last year?
A couple million.
They didn't make anything. They lost $50 million. In the 20 some odd years the WNBA has been in existence, it's never turned a profit. It's operated at a loss. So you threatening to sit out, bitch, you're lucky to have a job.
Yeah. And I think they were Diane Taurasi or whatever her name was like, it's going to be a wake up call. And then Caitlyn comes in and it's like every game, her games sell out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everywhere she goes, they just sell out. The viewership is like super. I mean, you remember the tournament, the NCAA tournament where she was going to break the scoring record. It was like, dude, more people watch that than any, like, you know what I'm saying? It was just wild.
I watched it and I refused to watch women's basketball.
Yes, dude. And that's what I'm saying is like, you have a good thing. And instead of like embracing it, you gatekeep and then like laugh about her getting hit to the ground. And you know what, to be completely fair, like the amount of shit she got put through her rookie season, I'm surprised she didn't have a couple more flagrants.
Mm-hmm.
You watch ESPN, you watch Sports Center, and you watch those highlights. It's like, dude, she's just getting knocked around in her rookie season. Like her teammates wouldn't even like help her up. Like no one had her back. And it was like this weird thing where it's like this, everywhere this girl goes, she sells out. She sells out stadiums and people watch, but it's like, you want to just like beat her up. It was the strangest thing. And then this rivalry that I didn't know started in college. So that's good information. I did not know that.
But it was a rivalry for the right reason.
Right. Sure.
And then it evolved into this fucking circus that we have to endure every fucking day.
Yes.
Especially if there's a slow.
And then I like, it's me. Right. And then in that Facebook thread, it was like, I don't see one white person. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, why are we bringing race into this? Like, I like it. I said, maybe out there, but not in this comment. Like, I'm not judging anything. I just think that's so ignorant. It's like, okay, so you can't argue yourself. You can't argue this. So now it's like, I don't know about how white people, it's like, dude, I'm a white person. Why don't you ask me? Or like, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm not doing this because I'm racist or bigoted. I'm just saying, like, you have one person who's amazing and one person who's good, but you can't rival the two because they don't meet any metric that says they're on the same level. And when one's trying to throw a haymaker to her the back of her head as she's walking away, like, it's not a rivalry. Like, I don't have to say that I like Angel Reese. I don't like her behavior. That's the only part of this I don't like.
And that goes back to that, and that goes back to what I said. Like, there's a very fine line for Black women to being opinionated and being loud and angry.
Sure.
And it gets really blurry a lot of times. And I think, and I might, and if I recall this incorrectly, because I just breezed through this a little bit, the black guy was like, well, my base is in Iowa, and none of these white people like Angel Reese.
Did you see my response?
Sherlock. No
Did you
shit.
see my
Where
response?
the fuck did Caitlin Clark go to college?
Iowa. That's what I said. I said, are you seriously thinking that anyone in Iowa is going to hate Caitlin Clark? Like, did you think that argument? Dude, look at my comments. That's what I said. I said, you're saying that people like Caitlin Clark in Iowa? Like,
I didn't even see your response to it, so I'm glad that we thought the same thing.
That's exactly what I said. Let's see where, here, I'm gonna pull it up real quick. I said, where did he say it? My job is out of Iowa, and I said, Cameron, it goes without saying, I know a lot of white basketball fans, and none of them are having anything nice or even neutral to say about her. Again, I'm not making this a race thing. The media is just like they did with Magic and Bird. I said, yeah, but I didn't. That's not my argument. Your job is based out of the state she went to college, where she set the NCAA scoring record. People don't like Angel Reese, someone who's pretty aggressive towards her. You don't say.
Yeah, you don't need a map to find that.
Yeah, but I'm not disparaging. I 100% could not beat a WNBA player like Angel Reese in a game of basketball. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, I can't. I know that I can't. But at the same time, if you're arguing, it's, you know how they have this every fucking year, they've got this stupid, which one's more goated, LeBron or Jordan? And it's like, dude, this is a never ending argument. You know why? Because they're both amazing.
Yeah.
Because they're both like, they set records and they're just like, everything he does, you're just like, oh my God. Everything Jordan did was from the 6 championships to like, you know, like, dude, people were just afraid of him. The same thing with LeBron. It's like, you know, that's why they're in these conversations. Or Kobe, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
That's why he was always in the conversation. Dude, he's after practice shooting 10,000 shots or whatever. He's there before he leaves out. It's like, all of these things create these rivalries and create these storylines, and they happen because of hard work. And it's like, and because of these, you get on the floor and you do battle. It has nothing to do with the color of your skin. And true sports fans, like true people like you and me, don't give a shit about the color of their skin. Because it doesn't make any difference to me whether you're green, blue, white, black. It doesn't matter. It just has to make sense. And it doesn't.
Right. Yeah, like I'm not interested. Like, I will have this conversation with you on this forum, but in the real world, or the fake one on the internet, I'm not doing that, because the vast majority of people lack the ability to remove emotion out of it and be objective. And
it's true. And it's something we're all guilty of, by the way.
Yeah, and the media made this shit racial.
Yes.
And what did you expect, right? But like, I'm not going to repeat myself. One of them is better than the other one. Let it be that.
AB today on Twitter said, "I'll take triple double Mel Gibson over Brick Barbie any day," with a picture of Caitlin Clark running around. It's an AI generated picture, but Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
I saw it, and guess what?
You saw it? I was like,
and I hit a bet on that game.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, like 100%, I did. There's very few betting certainties. There's one I can give you right now for the world.
What's that?
Bet the under on every WNBA game. Every fucking single one of them. Bet the under.
And that's it.
Bet the under.
You got any closing remarks here, my friend? Dude, it's so good to see you. I don't, Scott's so busy. I wish we could. Anyway, that's for after this. Any closing thoughts?
We didn't really touch on, and you said you did a video about the first little bit of Trumpy, right?
Yeah, and listen, we'll talk after this. Yeah,
so,
I did.
Like, I guess I need to get back into the swing of like paying attention, because I've been busy and doing other things. But I'm seeing the economy's a little better, but there's pockets that aren't great, and there's a lot of uncertainty as to whether that's going to trend the right direction. So we'll wait and see.
Very true. We should do a redo of 100 Days of Nay, and you and me should chat about it.
I'm down, and I think that it's about to be summertime. People act stupid when it's hot out, like So I'm just waiting, and the whole Cash Patel thing and all that. I'm not an appointed mouthpiece. Went on someone who got sued for lying to the public and lied.
Yeah,
there was once tea in this container that says tea.
I completely agree. Okay. And I'm just saying from this again, I will elaborate on that. If you do not release the proof, no one will believe you. There is not one person I know that has 100% faith. Well, maybe my parents, but boomers maybe, but are around our age that are going to take everything at their word when it comes out of Fox, CNN, MSNBC, any of these big name media groups and the government. So
unless you show me a video of him doing it to himself, nope.
Yes. And I'm just saying, just really, like, all you got to do, is start with the truth. There is, unless it has something to do with like Israel or Saudi or something like that, there is no reason why the words national security and Jeffrey Epstein should be in the same block, and we need to know about it. So I guess my closing thoughts would be, keep an open mind, try to see things for what they are instead of some superficial surface level. I guess I'll say that surface level issue. And do a little bit of your own research. Listen, ChatGPT is great. Ground News is wonderful. when you have friends like I've got friends like Ethan and Scott and Jack, talk to them, dude, because a lot of, especially in our group, people don't agree. We do a lot, but there are some times where we don't. And
Correct.
yeah, and it is very interesting when we get to one of those points, because it's like you get, everyone is not arguing to be right. Everyone is like arguing to understand. And that, I guess that would be my last bit of information. Listen to understand instead of respond.
Yep.
That's what we do in our friend group, at least.
Yep.
So anyway, we'll see you next week.